What's going on, everybody? It's Jamie. I was just actually doing some reading here. Life-changing book, Hold On to Your Kids by doctors Gordon Neufeld and Gabor Maté. This came out in 2004. Why parents and educators and adults need to matter more than peers. And it made me think of a huge issue going on with the shadow pandemic of youth mental health and the crisis that I've been talking about, and that my PhD is focusing on sustainable coping strategies for public educators that will also help students. So a huge thing is that we live in a peer-oriented children's culture that's been established since World War II, which is not natural or innate to us, and we need to reestablish a sense of attachment. And so what made me think of this is actually with my growing vines that a lot of people will stop and talk about. So this is a Virginia creeper, and this is what actually climbs up the entire front of my house. And what you can see here are called tendrils. So these are brand new tendrils, and those are basically for attaching the Virginia creeper, whatever it can climb to. And I'll show you, I give it things to attach to, and I built a whole system this spring because it wasn't attaching to sheet metal, obviously, but it loves bricks, it loves lattice. So these are the tendrils, and you can see them actually swaying, and I was showing you the delivery man came and I had to cut my recording, so this is where it attaches. And these tendrils, if they don't attach early, they just shrivel up and sort of fall off, and you have to cut off the entire vine because if they don't attach, they don't regrow where they first come out to seek somewhere to attach. And that's what makes me think of, while I was sitting here reading Dr. Gabor Maté and Neufeld, is that what they discuss as the 6 ways of attaching include the senses, so our 5 senses, and our physical proximity. And the physical proximity of caring for people biologically is through attaching physically, eye contact, sameness. We seek what is the same or similar, right? So that's pretty normal. That goes back to our tribal evolution, and those are a lot of the things we're talking about as we understand more about psychoneuroimmunology, belonging and loyalty. Community, in other words. So again, in the current day with social media, what I'm calling the hybrid reality, do we have belonging and loyalty and the meaning of what was socially significance? That's the next one, the 4th way of pursuing closeness and connection, followed by feeling, warm feelings, loving feelings, affectionate feelings. So are we showing each other, ourselves and children, this sort of loving, warm feeling? What Nell Noddings in my research calls genuine caring, as opposed to institutional caring or ethical caring, where we distance ourselves and don't use our inner landscapes, as Parker Palmer says. The 6th way of attaching is being known. Again, do we feel heard, seen? These are usually observable by the time the child enters school. To feel close to someone is to be known by them. In some ways, this is a recapitulation of attaching by way of the senses. So a huge part of this book is we need to revert from a children's culture of peer orientation back to an innate cultural, what I'm calling cultural torchbearers, a vertical system of feedback, of mentoring and hearing hard truths, and realizing that constructive feedback actually is part of life and it's not bullying. And that together through the peer review process of living together in Canada 2.0, that we can actually, grow and become better. This is a really cool spot over here. So they're waving in the breeze. The tendrils, these ones are starting to curl because they haven't attached, like a lot of people in our society. So usually what I do is I tape them to the brick. They love bricks. These ones have attached. So again, these tendrils will wrap up and basically die off, but anything that attaches grows. And a lot of people will be worried that this will go into the mortar. However, I got the Virginia creeper for the reason that it's not as aggressive into the bricks and mortars as something like the Boston ivy. So anyways, there you have it. This is what we're doing at Canadian Grit. We're holding on to our kids. We're building community Canada 2.0. It's hot out. Stay hydrated. Call a friend and stay cool. You're the best. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me.